Let's get you accepted to medical school. In this video, I'm going to show you a complete breakdown of my entire interview prep for the University of Washington School of Medicine with all these lovely resources you see before you. And if you see my laptop screen, you can see how many tabs I have open. But I want this to be both very comprehensive and also very concise. And although I'm doing it for the University of Washington, the general rules and tips and strategies I utilize here can be applied to every med school interview you can do. And as someone who's been accepted to a med school that is statistically harder to get into than Harvard, I want to say I hopefully have a few good pieces of advice, because as one of my med school interviewers told me, if you have received an invitation, they think you're ready for the school. So you just have to do everything in your power not to make them rethink their faith in you.
Good morning, guys. It is interview day. It is just about 6 a.m. My check-in is at 07:45, which for those of you not familiar with military time, that just means 7:45 a.m. And then I have a weird gap, which I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get away from Zoom or what's happening, but it's a break period until my actual interview starts at 9:20. And so that should last 30 minutes. I am getting ready, waking myself up, getting breakfast, getting hydrated, getting dressed, and then getting check-in. Breakfast of champions, another 125 grams of lean ground beef, 3 eggs, 75 grams of cream of rice with 150 grams of blueberries and 20 grams of almond butter, which is giving me the fuel in prep for my interview with the University of Washington in just about 2 hours. I have just over an hour until check-in.
And so here is my entire process I'm going to walk you through, starting with the technical side of things. When you are in an interview, of course, you're going to want a quiet, isolated space. You don't want a lot of noise. And so this is a super funny story. My first med school interview was with the Idaho College of Medicine. It was amazing to get to interview with a retired lieutenant colonel while wearing my AGSU suit. And the crazy story happened. I was 2 minutes before my interview when all of a sudden the fire alarm started ringing and in the building behind me, which is my dorm, where I was having my interview. And so here I am having to make a last second decision of saying, do I have to reschedule my interview? I don't even know if they'll let me reschedule. I might have just blown my only and first chance of getting into med school. And so the fire alarm goes off, I pack up everything, and I'm walking over to the RTC building when my interviewers get on camera. And so the whole thing feels chaotic. I feel like I've completely just dropped the ball, and it ended up turning out to be probably the most freeing and least nerve-wracking interview just because of the chaos at the beginning. Like, I showed my true character in that moment. I learned some things. Really understand a plan A and a plan B for your environment. Say the power goes out. Do you have backup flashlights? Do you have some sort of noise control? What are those variables and how do you mitigate for issues? For this interview, I'm going to have a backlight that's going to be towards me on the day of. And as you can see here, my laptop is pretty low. So this will be a live virtual interview on Zoom. So I want to have the camera slightly below eye level, which means that I'm going to use my trusty EMT book. This was a joy to read, and just put it right underneath my laptop like so. And all of a sudden now it is at the right height. So again, play around with the situation and you will be able to figure out how that works best. You may think it's completely just hard to believe, but some people have had teddy bears in the background of their video and other childish or kind of obscene objects that the med school interviews do take a note of when assessing the professionalism of your interview. So being very clear on what the scope of view is around you is vital.
We are back in the interview dungeon preparing for my check-in at 7:45 in just about 10 minutes. What I did is I created a simple Google Doc that has all the links, because for some reason UW's interviews are a bit more confusing than most, and that they have this Q&A session link, a check-in Zoom meeting link, and then your actual interview link auto-populates in the admission portal, which is separate from their WAMI portal that they have the check-in Zoom link. So to not have any issues Today, I just went ahead and copy and pasted the links into this doc, so everything's visible, easy to get to, and we are ready.
Now we're going to turn over to my web browser, and you will see right here, I had an email that says, congratulations, the admissions committee has reviewed your application and would like you to interview for USOM. So that is super exciting. That's the first point where it's like, okay, I've received an interview. That means that let's go to this amazing site, the MSAR. It's $35 for a year subscription. Some schools have it for free through their pre-med advisor. Highly recommend using for your entire application process because you can look through all the schools and get tons of helpful up-to-date information through the AAMC. So when I go here to the University of Washington, you'll notice that I can immediately look up overview and the admissions. I was able to then copy and paste their mission statement, their curriculum, all helpful, and able to analyze all helpful information for what might be able to help highlight where my character fits into their school. Because again, this is like any other interview. You want to make sure you're a good fit for them, and you want them to make sure they're a good fit for you. I received the mission statement. So the USOM is dedicated to improving the general health and well-being of the public as the preeminent academic medical center in our region. I'm from Montana, so yep, their WWAMI is the major program they have. It's this interstate coalition. And so they are a national leader in biomedical research, placing a special emphasis on educating and training physicians, scientists, and allied health professionals dedicated to two distinct missions. One is meeting the healthcare needs of our region, especially by recognizing the importance of primary care and providing service to underserved populations. And two is advancing knowledge and assuming leadership in the biomedical sciences and in academic medicine. So it's a rather unique mission statement. Most schools, especially MD schools, are going to be very far right on the scientific PhD, become the next Nobel Prize winner. And you often see more of the DO or osteopathic schools take that more family doctor, rural medicine route. So this is a really unique mission statement that not a lot of other schools reflect, because they're saying, okay, we have a population that's mostly rural. Sure, you have some huge cities like Seattle in there, but mostly rural. And so we need to emphasize primary care because primary care has been shown to decrease healthcare costs. It's not well incentivized when you're making 5 times as much as an orthopedic surgeon, and you have all the prior authorizations and insurance issues around that. So family medicine, when properly utilized, can be a huge net positive for the health of a region. And so that is one of its mission statements, while also saying that they want to be as a prized research institution. For better or worse, what often ranks med schools in terms of that tier list, you're going to hear the Harvards, the UPenns, the UWs up high because they prize research so highly. Whereas most more primary care specific schools may rank lower, not because their education's worse, but because maybe they put a smaller emphasis on research. So this is key. So I'm internalizing this. I'm going through, okay, what words jump out at me? What reflects well in my application? We're gonna be moving over here to my AMCAS. Again, before any interview, you're going to want to review your AMCAS application to make sure you're consistent. Because for me, this is now January. I wrote this back in April and May of my senior year of college. I was non-traditional in that I had an extra semester, so I applied senior year. I have had now almost 8 months, 7-8 months in between writing this and interviewing. So of course, I don't have a perfect recollection of everything that was written. And so reviewing this is key to making sure that what you're saying actually corroborates what the 1 or 2 or however many of your interviewers have access to your file. It's showtime. I blocked my window just in case the sun decides to make a surprise guest appearance and blinds me. And here's something that's good to know. I've now had an interview which was with 2 interviewers, of which both had open access to my file, so they knew everything about me and my AMCAS application. I've had an asynchronous interview where it was completely through the AMP virtual interview software where you have timed questions and you have to respond to them purely via camera. And the only face-to-face with other people I had was the Q&A session with the school. And I've also had an interview with just one member, and that one was open file, if I understand correctly. And that one may be the most risky because if your one interviewer just doesn't understand how you communicate or you don't really mesh well, could hurt your chances. So I'm really proud. University of Washington places a lot of stress on trying to level the playing field of the interview and application process. They have 3 interviewers. 1 which is called an XCOM and 2 which are closed file. So the XCOM has complete open access to your file. They know your GPA, your MCAT, all your extracurriculars, everything about you, down to where you sleep at night. And the other 2 are left in the dark. They're like your parent when you're in college. You don't want them messing in your business. So we have these 3 members, and so I will need to practice on, okay, I could be being asked by any 3, so I need to understand how to quickly switch between questions and questionnaires. Then I am completely in background and homework investigation mode. So University of Washington is huge for Montana, so fortunately I have actual paper resources when they visited my undergraduate college of Carroll, and they visited and I got to do mock interviews with them. I got to attend whammy sessions of what the school looks like. But here's what I want to know first. So we are looking for applicants who, 1, are compassionate and service oriented. 2, understand the life role responsibilities of a physician. 3, demonstrate collaborative communication and interpersonal skills. 4, have problem solving and analytical skills, can discuss current healthcare issues in the US, are academically lifelong learners, are engaged in building an anti-racist and inclusive learning community, and lastly, having broad interests and diverse life experiences. So I ask myself, okay, do I check all those boxes? And not only do I check those boxes, but does my character actually reflect those? Is it part of who I am that I am someone who just resonates really clearly with that? If not, it's good to be honest and be like, maybe this school isn't the best for me. And so I go through and I'm like, okay, maybe there's some there that I don't fully resonate with, others which I'm like, I'm very strong towards that with my bent. And so with that, I now am able to come up with answers. So if they had a question responding to, show me an instance of when you're compassionate, you have to be able to think back of a time that fits that. Or tell me of a time when you interacted collaboratively with a group of peers, or when did you manage a conflict, or how were you able to engage in someone and treat someone with respect when they weren't being treated equally by someone else. Or tell me about something that's challenged you, or tell me about failure in your life. So I'm instantly thinking of what questions can they ask me based on the applicants they're looking for. So then we get to my homework stage. It says that I will have 4 types of questions and within that 30 minutes. And so they may end up cutting me off before I completely answer a question just because they have to get through these 4 types of questions and any others they think are necessary in that time period. So it's good recognizing that. Sometimes when an interviewer cuts you off, it's not being rude, it's not that you're doing poorly, it's just they have questions to get through. So 1, your motivation for a medical career, and they even emphasize, be brief and don't repeat your entire personal statement. So for me, I'm like, okay, so instantly I can't just draw from my personal statement of why do you want to be a doctor? I need to make this personal. What have I learned in the past 7 months since I've written this that even emphasize it more, that I'm going to become a doctor and I'm going to make it through no matter how tough it gets. That's what they're wanting for. They want a very, very low attrition rate. They want everyone to make it through to residency. So I ask, okay, my YouTube channel, which if you're not already, please subscribe. We're on the road to 100,000 because I want to get you all accepted to med school and pursue lives of discipline, purpose, and health. So vital in this unhealthy age. So please click that like button, subscribe, join the healthy army. Thank you. But yeah, on this YouTube channel, my mission statement is to empower young men and women to pursue lives of discipline, health, and purpose. And so how is that mission that I've currently set for myself being applied in my character and into my medical practice eventually? So that's what I want to emphasize there on my motivation for a medical career. I want to engage it with a story. So I'm gonna be like, well, I've been working for the past 8 months with a coach from Spain, of all places. And we ended up coming up with just such a deep dive into my character and my being and my drive. And we've just kind of melted down and discerned everything into this one ingot of gold. And that's my mission statement I now have on my YouTube channel, to empower young men and women to pursue lives of discipline, health, and purpose. And I take that gold and I want to steward it well for others. And in a similar way, I want to expand that reach now into medical practice as a medical professional who is going to be the most trusted in America for helping people deal with the most intimate parts of themselves, their own person. So that shows my motivation for a medical career in something much more deep and personal than I want to help people. So then question number 2, your understanding of social determinants of health and healthcare delivery in the US. This one, I am by no means an expert. They don't expect you to be an expert. But have you at least spent time understanding how our healthcare works? And everyone seems furious at it, but why? And is there anything that you're wanting to do to improve it? So I've been spending the last several days just watching different podcasts, reading excerpts from books, listening to doctors, and understanding things like in rural areas like where I live, site-neutral care and costs are huge, saying that if I have a treatment out in this rural center that it'll be the same cost as if I got it in a level 1 trauma center in a city. And if there's some sort of difference and the rural cost is way higher, helping remediate that down to where you're not having to pay completely unequal prices. Not to mention kind of this very intermediary insurance network of who's in network and out of network from the ACA, and how many uninsured Americans are there for healthcare, and what are we seeing with PBMs or the new rise of GLP-1s, and how's that affecting patients with costs and insulin costs, and why is it so much cheaper just across the border in Canada versus here? Can we do anything about that? Is big pharma really the enemy here, or is there greed of doctors? Do I want to be a doctor who is seen as that way? How do I help but still support a lifestyle when I've invested this much of my time and life into this field? So many questions. And also the social determinants. How am I able to help reach impoverished people or the unhoused communities to then instill better social health, which then will have ripple effects over into decreasing crime and hopefully the recidivism rates of crime in certain communities? Is there certain race-based factors? The Native American population of where I live is some of the lowest health quality and outcomes in the area, so it's how are we better able to do tribal health care? And they're on their own system, kind of like the Veteran Affairs VA healthcare system. But with that, they're wanting you to at least have thought about it. So they could ask a myriad of questions with that. And so I don't need to be an expert, but I've at least spent time now starting to be able to have some sort of conversation. Can I actually respond to questions that are hard? Then number 3. This is something that University of Washington does unique to get you to think. So they say your approach to a problem, and they want you to think out loud. Now, the cool thing is they've been preparing us for this question for all the mock interviews and all the WWAMI summits I've attended through my undergraduate experience. And the one that sticks out most to me, because I love physical fitness and nutrition, I'm preparing for a bodybuilding competition right now. Again, you can follow my journey here or on Instagram. But with that, the doctor was interviewing I think a sophomore in college. So he started out sounding very confident, and by the end, he was speechless, and not in a good way. And everyone in the audience was just like, whoa. because we realized the gravity of that and the inexperience and just indecisiveness of him and how he wasn't ready for that. Would it have been his actual interview? So it stuck with me because I was like, I need to be prepared to not end up like him. And so the interviewer, she asked this student that you are a resident and a young girl in middle school shows up to you with her father. And this student is overweight and her father comes in complaining that she has been bullied in her PE class at school and that she wants an excusal letter to give to the PE teacher so then she doesn't have to attend. What do you do? And so now you're not only dealing with one patient, but two. So her father and her. And you're dealing with a nuanced problem because sure, you could write that excusal letter, give it to her for the rest of the semester. Now she's maybe no longer being bullied in that class because of her overweightness and probably some difficulty doing the PE activities. But have you not actually exacerbated the underlying health problem that got her into that position in the first place? Because now you are removing her from possibly the only environment that's actually instilling physical movement and health in her life. Maybe she has a sedentary life at home. Maybe her parents don't have her involved in sports or there are physical activities. And so the question is, as the resident, what do you do? And I want to bring up the 4 tenets of medical ethics. Maybe you've heard of them, but we have what I like to call the acronym JABN. J, justice, A, autonomy, B, beneficence, and N, non-maleficence. And so with those 4, it's like, okay, I want to do the greatest beneficence for this girl without having any maleficence or actually doing something that does harm to her and her overall health. So what do you do? Because I could say, I'm sorry, I can't write that excusal letter. You're gonna continue with this PE class because I understand it's healthy. She continues getting bullied. You've kind of neglected her in a weird way, not legally, but you've kind of just stepped out of it. And you haven't really addressed the underlying root with her father at all. So they're wanting you to think through this. You're like, okay, I understand the 2 obvious solutions. Neither of them are good. Is there a third way? Is there a fourth way? So what I'd say is, okay, starting with the father, what does her activity schedule look like in the home? Oh, does she have siblings that she plays with? Oh no, she loves gaming? Okay, how long does she game for? This is helpful. So, oh, poor sleep too? Do you do any home cooking? No, you guys eat mainly fast food. Okay, so now I've assessed patient history. Maybe going to the father isn't best. If the girl's old enough, you should address her directly. And now ask, okay, how has this situation developed? Have they been bullying you for a long time? Yes, okay. Is there something that you want me to do? And she just says, I just want out of that class. It's kind of defeated. And so I'd go, okay, I understand that you want to get out of this class, but I also understand that PE is such a good class for your health. And so I want to write a letter to your PE teacher, maybe excusing you for a few classes with the expectation that you'll be fully involved in physical activity through some sort of alternative means. Maybe that's one solution. Probably not the best because already the PE teacher is overwhelmed with 30 students. So maybe the other solution is, okay, I want the parent to be able to have increased supervision with her and address it kindly to the school. So there's limits of how much I can actually kind of influence the situation of her at school or influence the father, but ultimately I want to try to do the best beneficence for her. Fourth, they might ask a difficult conversation you've had. And fortunately or unfortunately, through my 4.5 years in Army ROTC, in cutthroat military faux operations and dealing with authority figures and dealing with cadets under my responsibility at the time, and working as an ED tech and working in different spheres, I've had to have difficult conversations. And that's something you can't really fake. You actually have to get that life experience. So choose experiences that are going to put you in situations that are likely to create some sort of conflict, not for the sake of conflict, but they actually show that you're doing something. Because like we like to say in the medical field, it's that if there is no risk for you taking something, then there's no action. Because everything that has an action has a side effect. And so if there is something that you're involved with, there is always the risk of a side effect of that, or else you're not actually being actionable in that role. And those are the main 4 questions they'll ask, and this is how I'm preparing. Large language models like ChatGPT or Gemini are super helpful for being able to brainstorm and actually verbally respond now with you. So if you look back to my web browser, I've had interview prep with ChatGPT. I've been able to import my AMCAS file so it knows my information accurately, and I'm able to just voice dictate this. So, hey, chat, I currently have an interview with the University of Washington soon, and I want you to help prepare me to completely be the most genuine I can be to my character, as you know from my application. So now I have created an audio prompt. I have now submitted it, and hopefully it has the memory from my previous interviews that it creates some sort of thing that looks similar. Good at saying it. Below is a guided mock interview that's built around the 4 domains UW cares about. They say the mission aligned, genuine, professional. So 1, tell me about your motivation for pursuing a career in medicine. Good. So how to structure. It's even giving me tips on how to structure it. So origin, reinforcement, forward-looking purpose. So it's even having that synthesis line. Now it's aligning my experience with now why UW is a perfect fit for me. And it's even saying what the interviewers are probably listening for. Longitudinal commitment, not just a spark of interest. Comfort with responsibility. Motivation rooted in service and systems, not just the prestige of the school. And it shows me what to avoid. Those questions are exactly what I told you, but what might be some related offshoot questions that the interviewers would realistically ask me to get at the heart of those 4 questions? So now I've redesigned the prompt. We'll see how it comes up with questions now. And also knowing the curriculum, knowing the actual fundamentals of the school is also huge. So I have a little nice flow chart that shows the different phases of UW. UW has a flipped class curriculum in their fundamentals, foundations phase. So just understanding the school at a little deeper than surface level can go a long way. When they ask, do you have any questions? You're like, oh yes, what is the student to cadaver ratio there? I, as someone who's taken anatomy, has a passion of anatomy, and I just want to make sure that I will be able to be well trained here. What's that look like? So genuine questions that show you're engaged, you're going to be very invested in your education. All those are huge. And great, it came up with some other questions here. What experiences most confirmed your decision to pursue medicine? So these are all great questions that they could ask. And so I'm just gonna go through and be like, okay, maybe I don't know how to answer this one completely. So I'll say, how do you balance personal responsibility with systemic barriers? I'll copy it, paste it. I'll paste it here and then say, I'm having trouble communicating how I want to respond to this question. Can you help guide me through the thought process that helps best answer how I should? So now I take a question I wasn't very confident with, plug in that prompt. UW is using it as a philosophical litmus test. So it's saying don't answer these extremes, but redefine it. Start with empathy, not judgment. And so, yeah. And you're like, okay, anchor this sentence. Personal responsibility only becomes meaningful once people have real choices. That's a bar. It's also good to know, if you're not aware, if you look at the AAMC's website, you'll find a list of 17 pre-med competencies to get accepted. And if you're like me, you didn't know about them till you started applying. So you can look these up on the AAMC page and see the definitions of each and how your character applies. Try to come up with a personal story of how you've exemplified each one of those. That'll help you for all your interviews. I also have this page, which is my med school tracker. So it's a lot more quantitative in terms that I have general stats. So I'm able to see, okay, here's the average GPA, MCAT, where I'd be, and then I usually include the mission statement over here. I'll show you right here, yeah. And then a YouTube video, and it says, oh, do not write thank you letters to the committee. So it helps me know after my interview, they don't want thank you letters. Usually, general rule of thumb is send a thank you letter. They say need a whole week set aside for digital interviews because it's the week of. I did that.
I'm currently on the break between my check-in and the interview, and so I really want to stress this important thing to keep heart rate down, keep that weird pit in your stomach feeling away, to read the word. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm reading from Isaiah 26. Highly recommend if you haven't read it, which has the title, You Keep Him in Perfect Peace. And peace is something we could all use a little more of in our lives. And so it's special that I'm just taking time to focus on, like verse 3, I've underlined, you keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is staved on you, because he trusts in you. Trust in the Lord forever. And that word staved, I think, is really cool in the ESV. To stave is to fix or to remain in. It's similar to like abide, which is huge in John. And so I'm just gonna be reading this in prayer, and then I have just about 40 minutes, and then I have my interview. I'll see you there.
And then I can go down into my overall medical school application master doc. And so here's all these tabs. And so this is where, if you're like me, I like organization. I like to be able to refer back to things. So I have overviews of timelines so that my dates are in order. So if they ask any questions about, when were you applying for the HPSB? You're going military? And I'll be like, okay. On 13th of November, I received this. And so there's all those dates that I have there. I also have my secondaries written here. So I'm able to then just Control F, University of Washington, and not only your AMCAS, but remember what you wrote for your secondaries. And so I go back on what they care about. They aim to build a diverse class of students. What did I write about? So I'm going to review this and thoroughly internalize what I wrote again before I do my interview. And so the University of Washington asks 3 questions, so I'll go back and remember each of those 3.
Also, little side note, if you ever find yourself get tongue-tied or you feel like you have a hard time enunciating words before interviews, what I learned from my times in choir and just practicing better speaking is that play your favorite rap song or some sort of phrase or song which has a faster tempo and try to match it. Try to sing along with it, try to rap along with it, and notice that it's a vocal warm-up of sorts. You're able to then better enunciate vowel sounds, words, you're able to speak and think a little faster. So try that strategy the next time, and you might be surprised how much better you sound.
I then am able to create a list of experiences that fit certain buckets. So again, that what was a difficult conversation you had, or what inspired you to pursue medicine. I answer those questions throughout this document, and I can find that easy. And then I have this interview tab where I'm able to go straight into my UW interview prep, and again, look at what I am seeing here in terms of their curriculum, mission statement, etc. And so that's kind of my flow for the whole interview. It's not all just chunked up cleanly. As you can see, I kind of jumped around, but that helps me be able to focus very purposefully my interview prep process and be able to approach it day of, having full confidence that I've done my part, and now it's just time to converse, and that's my favorite part. And a huge aspect is, again, not to lose who you are in the process.
We are now 5 minutes away. Palm test, not completely dry. Heart rate, still level. I got done with my vocal warm-ups. I'm about to click into the Zoom link. This is where you try to focus on your confidence and understand that they are interviewing you because they believe in you. So that's what I'm going into this thinking and believing, and let's have a great interview.
It's harder than it sounds, I know. Your heart gets beating faster, your mouth gets drier, you might start to shake. Just take a deep breath, take control of that sympathetic nervous system, and understand that if you've received an interview, the school thinks you're worthy. So have joy with that. You've done the incredible. Interview is complete. I was so out of it after that I changed out of my clothes before recording this. But yeah, it I think went well. I will hopefully find out in 2 to 4 days what the result is. But hopefully if you've stayed around to this point that you've found some value in it, and you are going to be a fantastic future doctor. And the whole point of this is just to show them that you believe in you as much as they believe in you by giving you that interview. And so I just want to end off with this. Good luck. You're going to kill it. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. If you have any other helpful tips I've missed in this, again, leave them in the comments to help others. I want to build up the strongest community of pre-meds to create a generational shift in the health of our doctors. So many doctors online burning out and leaving medicine, and I don't want that to be the case. Healthcare is such a key part of who we are as humans. Being healthy may be one of the chief aims of human life. And so, as I like to say, make each heartbeat count, and I'll see you in the next one.